From the Detroit Free Press, it's Friday, November 8th. Here's what you need to know today, presented by Bush's Fresh Food Market. Calling all foodies, Bush's is hiring. Are you passionate about food, looking for growth, development, and excellent wages? Come grow with Bush's and apply online at bushes.com/join our team. That's Bush's, BUSCHS.com/join our team.
For the Detroit Free Press, I'm Kristen Shamus. A legal battle continues to play out in Oakland County Circuit Court as the family of 16-year-old Titus Cromer fight to keep him on life support. Titus was hospitalized October 17th after sustaining an undisclosed injury. Doctors at Beaumont Hospital in Royal Oak say Titus is brain dead and will never recover, but his family say he is showing signs of improvement, that he can regulate his own heart rate and blood pressure and temperature, and he can breathe on his own for short periods. An outside doctor evaluated his medical records Wednesday and visited Titus in the hospital. He says Titus is not brain dead. Now, the boy's family is looking for a doctor who can perform a tracheostomy and install a feeding tube so Titus can be moved to a long-term care facility. Judge Hala Jarbo postponed a Thursday morning hearing in the case, rescheduling it for November 14th. Until then, she has ordered Beaumont to continue to provide medical care for Titus.
I'm Frank Witzel with the Detroit Free Press. Before Ted Bundy, the handsome serial killer who confessed to slaying women in multiple states, Michigan had a murderer of its own. In the late 1960s, young college coeds and girls in Ypsilanti and Ann Arbor were dying, their bodies mutilated and disfigured. The slayings struck fear into the hearts of Michiganders until John Norman Collins was arrested. A then 22-year-old college student, Collins was one of Michigan's most notorious murder investigations. Now, more than 50 years later, 6 of the slayings are still unsolved, and there's much more to the story. Just this week, Collins wrote to the Detroit Free Press to discuss it. In recent weeks, hair-raising details have emerged from interviews with retired state police detectives, a blogger who visited every spot where authorities found bodies, the author of a book about the case, and one of the killer's relatives. Check out a 3-part examination in which the Free Press sifts through hundreds of archived accounts and old photos. Read Collins' letter. Then decide for yourself whether authorities should continue to spend precious resources to continue investigating Collins.
For the Detroit Free Press, I'm Christy Tanner. Detroit's preterm birth rate hit a 13-year high last year, state data shows. The state looked at babies born before 37 weeks. Detroit's preterm birth rate rose to 15.3% in 2018, the highest since 2005. State health officials called last year's spike a significant increase from 2013, when Detroit's rate was 13%. But health experts can't point to a single explanation for the growth. Of the roughly 10,000 births in Detroit last year, about 1,500 were premature. Preterm birth disproportionately impacts African American women. The newest state data comes after Mayor Mike Duggan claimed that the city's hand-picked program to fight preterm birth has been successful. City officials now say that program, called Make Your Date, is not large enough to have an impact on the city's preterm birth rate.
This is Brian Manzullo, craft beer writer for the Detroit Free Press. Founders Brewing Company announced it will reopen its Detroit taproom in early 2020. It also plans to donate 100% of the profits from that location to Detroit charities and community organizations. The Grand Rapids-based craft brewery had closed the taproom October 25th as it faced outrage over a racial discrimination lawsuit filed by a former employee. Founders settled that lawsuit last week. Founders has since hired a Detroit-based consulting firm called Thomas Group, led by former Michigan State Senator Buzz Thomas. The firm will work with Founders to build a robust diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy in the coming months. Co-founder Mike Stevens acknowledged Thursday that Founders lost several hundred accounts due to the lawsuit. Stevens said Founders will reach out to each of them personally in the coming weeks. Read more Founders news on freep.com.
I'm Susan Tompor, and I'm a columnist for the Detroit Free Press. Homeowners in Detroit who are dealing with a broken furnace or another high-cost home repair might want to take note of a low-cost option for borrowing money. Many homeowners in the city may be eligible for a 0% home repair loan. You'd have up to 10 years to repay the money you borrow, but you're not being charged any interest. The 0% program is available citywide, but some higher income households won't qualify. Check into the rules. For example, you must own and have lived in your home for at least 6 months. Vacant, unoccupied homes are not eligible. Bank of America recently committed $1.5 million to the 0% home repair loan program. See DetroitHomeLoans.org for more details and requirements.
For the Detroit Free Press, I'm Yanchi Jackson. Leonard Fantroy used to make a living selling drugs in Detroit, but losing his vision during his 3rd prison sentence gave him a new perspective on life. Now he runs his own landscaping company. Fantroy was in his 30s when he began going blind from optic neuritis in 2014. He was behind bars for a drug conviction at the time. Fantroy was legally blind when he was released from prison in 2016. He says he slept on the floor of his rental home because he couldn't afford furniture. That's when he dreamed up the idea to start his own landscaping business. Now he manages a small team of employees, some of whom also have criminal convictions. Fantroy sometimes gets his hands dirty with manual labor despite his limited vision. His earnings are much more modest these days compared to the cash he says he used to rake in by dealing drugs. But he says making an honest living feels good. Now I appreciate the struggle, Fantroy says.
I'm Kirkland Crawford with the Free Press Sports Department and an update on the Pistons. We are one step closer to finally seeing Blake Griffin back on the court. He was cleared for all basketball-related activities on Thursday. The team said the All-Star will be monitored on a daily basis. Does that mean he'll play tonight in Indiana? Not exactly. Stay tuned there. One thing the Pistons have been working on is three-point shooting, and it appears things are starting to click. After being in the bottom half of the league in three-point accuracy last season, the Pistons are 3rd in the NBA from behind the long line this year. Sure, the season is only a month old, but if the threes continue to drop, more wins should follow.
Do you like what you're hearing in our news briefing? Let us know, whether it's a question, comment, or something you just want to hear. You can share your opinion by emailing us at voice@freep.com. That's voice@freep.com. See you on Monday.